Got an amazing stat for you here. And I was just telling Xander this. In the last 23 years, the city of Boston now has 13 championships. I mean, I can't think of another region that has more titles than Boston. 6 Patriot titles and Super Bowls. You got 2 Celtic titles now after the win last night. You've got a Stanley Cup with the Bruins, and you've got 4 World Series titles with the Red Sox. That's amazing. The last 23 years, 13 championships. Why is that? You got great organizations, great front offices. Think of the people that have been running those franchises. Just look across the board. Cam Neely with the Boston Bruins was running the front office. Absolutely spectacular executive, not just a great player. Now you have Brad Stevens taking over for Danny Ainge. It's just such a well-run organization where all those teams in that city. Dave Dombrowski and Theo Epstein ran the Boston Red Sox. And, of course, you had Belichick with the Patriots. There's no coincidence. Front offices for those championships and how you build titles. Look at Brad Stevens. Who would have thought the guy who lost 2 NCAA finals in a row at Butler was going to go on and also lost the finals, I think in 22. And he loses the finals in the NBA, would go on to take what Danny Ainge did and now deliver an NBA championship, number 18 for the Boston Celtics. And when you put that in context with what the Eagles have done since Jeffrey Lurie's owned that team over 30 years, personally for me, I don't see it with the instability in the front office and the meddling of the owners. You don't have that kind of success that you have in that place in Boston. Dude, Dave Dombrowski, he's the best GM in Philadelphia. There's no question about it. Titles in Florida, titles in Detroit, Boston. Dave Dombrowski is the best GM. It's not Howie Roseman. In Philadelphia, who's got the best record in baseball right now, by the way? Who's got the best record? Tell me. The Phillies, right? There's no coincidence to Dave Dombrowski. This comes down to building titles. And when you have, see, I'll tell you something that Marcus Hayes said a couple weeks ago on Birds 365. You guys keep giving Howie all the love and all the kudos that he's done for building a competitive team. And you know what? Like you said, there's 2 arguments to this. Seals, do you want to cover the Carolina Panthers or be the Arizona Cardinals? No. But there's also about delivering championships. Now, look, I don't think this is a bad statement for Howie. What is it? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. In 8 years, they've been to 2 Super Bowls. That's not horrible. That's not horrible. Okay, it's not. It's not horrible. Let's start the show off as we always do. Big Sills. Again, that's exceptional management with those franchises. Now, I think the Bruins underachieved a little bit under Cam. I think they should have won more. They've been to multiple finals. I think the Lightning are a little bit better of an organization, but hey, especially in the East, and maybe the Flyers now with Tortorella will start to aim towards that direction, and I believe they will. But that's incredible. 13 world titles in the last 23 years from the city of Boston. It all starts with management, coaching, player evaluation, Hey, after they got rid of Kyrie Irving up in Boston, Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum took off. They got rid of them, and they got better. That's what management does. All right. 36 days to the start of training camp. 36 days. I'm gonna say something here about noise heading into training camp. Not just with the Eagles here. I want to show you what absolute noise is. I appreciate everybody coming aboard. By the way, do me a favor. We're trying to get to 200 likes again. Please hit the like button. We thank you. How many people had a problem with the noise going around with Aaron Rodgers not showing up to mandatory minicamp? How many people had a problem with that? The optics of it, what have you. Did you have some sort of like problem? Martin goes, I do. Jason goes, I do. Jets should have squashed that. No shitting on my Jets, Corey. Corey, you're a Jets fan? I don't know, man. Steve goes, who cares? I'm going to talk to you about noise going into a training camp that you're 36 days out from. Okay, get this. Here's Raj. Not me. He told them about previous arrangements. You know what his previous arrangements are with the Jets now? What do you think they are? How do you think this will sit when I tell you this? So, Aaron Rodgers told the Jets that he had a previous engagement during the time of mandatory minicamp so that he could go overseas and do experimental drugs? What? I'm going to say this again to you. Aaron Rodgers went overseas to do experimental drugs to miss minicamp? I guess he goes in one of those huts and those tents and whatever he does, and he smokes his brains out overseas somewhere where it's legal. I don't know how the NFL doesn't drug test this guy. So you miss a minicamp because you want to do experimental drugs. That's a reason to miss minicamp? You're not all in, guy. You're all in on the Aaron Rodgers bandwagon. That's the kind of shit right there you look at and you go, you know, for all the shit you say about Hurts, me included, dude, he's not missing mandatory minicamp because he wants to smoke a joint. I mean, that's ridiculous. You got your entire life to go do experimental drugs and fry your brain out. Why in the world would you take time away? Tyron Smith, who just got to New York and is going to block for Aaron Rodgers, showing up at minicamp. And he's accomplished too. Okay? You miss minicamp because you want to smoke dope. Seals, could you and Xander get Brian Dawkins on? Yes, we can do that. We'll work on that. By the way, Merrill Reese was supposed to be on today, but it's Xander at 3:30. He's on tomorrow. He's at a golf tournament. He's not being able to get off the golf course. And I want to congratulate Merrill on winning the Pete Rozelle Award going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So we will do that tomorrow. You'll never win with Rodgers simply due to that mindset. That's right, dual threat. Dude, you know, again, the Eagles have had a lot of noise around their building this offseason here. But that guy just doesn't get it. He never gets it. Get this. Even if you don't. Now here, let's do this. If you were the head of your company and it was a symposium where, you know, you had everybody coming together, you really didn't want to do it. But you know, you did it because the optics were good for everyone to see leadership. And you make 55 million bucks. Wouldn't you do it? Even if you didn't want to do it. This is what I'm telling you about Hurts with that comment about Nick. Hey, Jalen, sometimes you got to say and do shit you don't want to say or do. Because you're the face of the franchise. It comes with the job. But here's why, and Xander doesn't want to give the kid a pass because he makes $51 million. And he's right to a point, but there's also this. Tom Brady wasn't the leader of the Patriots right out of the gate. It was Teddy Bruschi and some of them other guys. He acquired his leadership as he went on and continued to put wins together and championships together. That's how he developed his leadership. I think leadership is something that you grow on and you learn how to be a communicator with your teammates, no matter what the business is. If you can't communicate with your team, you can't lead. It's impossible to lead, no matter how talented you are. Aaron Rodgers is the prime example and the antithesis of what Brady is. Brady is the ultimate communicator, not just the ultimate quarterback. You've got to communicate with your team. And like I said, no matter what field it is, if you can't communicate, you can't win. So when an innocuous question, what's Nick's role? I don't know. I don't know. Lie. Give the optics. I think that's what the Eagles are saying. I get up every morning and do shit I don't want to do for a lot less. Daniel, that's why Xander's attitude and your attitude, you're not going to sell that attitude to you and Xander and to many people. And me too. I mean, look, hey, you make 51 million, guy. Get up off your ass and do the right thing. Even shit you don't want to do. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? The simplest things sometimes are the hardest things to do. Senor goes lie. Well, we've learned one thing, Senor. He's not going to embrace anybody. He doesn't embrace anybody. How about this? You could call it a lie, or you could call it being a company guy. Is that a better word for you, Senor? Jalen's not a good company man. He's not. Nor is Rodgers. Nor is Rodgers. He's not a good company man. I'm not at minicamp because I want to smoke dope. To do experimental drugs? Where in the player leadership handbook is that? Where's that? There lies the difference between Tom Brady. Tom Brady's working with Tom House and his wide receivers in Southern California. Aaron Rodgers is overseas smoking weed in a teepee. There lies your difference. There lies the difference. And why that guy has one title and that other guy has 7. Yeah, but I'm going in my 20th year. I don't need minicamp. No. But the other 89 do. That's why, again, we fall into this conversation. How important is it? Yesterday, and I don't want to put words. We'll talk to him again at 3:30, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. But he was like this, it's June 17th. It's not that great a deal. We'll see if it's a deal. That's not something you're going to turn on and off. That's a mindset. That's now. And we'll be in September. They're not changing that. You think Jalen Hurts is all of a sudden going to have an epiphany and be a different guy in September? And so is Nick? They're not. That's who these men are. You have to work at that. Either guy is not willing to work at that. So is it a big deal on June 17th. Today's the 18th, obviously. Yeah, because you know why? Nothing will change in September 6th when you line up against Green Bay. Why Jalen the only person USA can't be honestly? Why Jalen the only person USA can't be honestly? Not sure if we could put that a little bit better there, Philly. Fat Mac, let's put it up there a little bit better there. Dan Sileo looks for anything to gossip. Not gossip. I'm talking leadership here, something you'll never know about, Dick Drain. You'll never know about leadership. You have no idea what you're talking about. Touch football's not it. Okay? He said he doesn't know what that man's role is. We don't know what his role is. Let it go. Bro, I'm talking to you about how other quarterbacks, the reason they don't win also is because that's not something that's a common thing. Remember what I showed you the other day about Brady talking about football being hard? You don't have to be exceptional. You just have to do the things that people are unwilling to do. And Hurts is unwilling, so is Rodgers, to go the extra step on being a better teammate. And will it matter on September 6th? Of course it's going to matter, because that's who those men are. They're not going to change. Like I said, it's not just Xander too saying that. It's everyone. Hey, it's June 17th. That's not the point. That's who they are. They're not going to change. They're set in their ways. Well, remember, what's the other comment? That's just who Jalen is. Well, what would make it change? What would make it change? I got to tell you, Patrick Mahomes being raised by his dad, who is a professional baseball player, has done a wonderful job at preparing him on what it's like to be in a dugout or in a locker room. And here's why. You imagine being on that 86 Mets team, and you got Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter. You got all those maniacs in that locker room, and the dynamic that you have to go through each and every single week or every single game or every single day to know the personalities, especially in that locker room. You had Nails in that thing too. You had Lenny Dykstra in that, Wally Blackman, all them guys with massive personalities, Howard Johnson. And those guys were fighting in the locker room. You got guys, that's right, M. Reyes, coked up Strawberry. But you got to deal with everybody. Tom Brady dealing with Antonio Brown or a murderer and Aaron Hernandez. Will it matter in September? I say it does. Because we're not talking about fixing a play or fixing an offense. We're talking about personal behavior here. This is who those guys are. Yeah, I don't think you can all of a sudden think that Jalen's going to be a different dude. I just don't. Aaron Rodgers in the league 20 years. Has he changed who he is? Why would Hurts? He's never going to back Nick. Personally, I don't think the Eagles know how to handle Jalen right now. We're going to get into all this here. And by the way, there was a comment made yesterday. I forget who made it. Maybe John McMullen. By the way, please hit the like button here. What exactly was that comment that people are now making, that 95% of the offense is not going to be new, but there's different responsibilities now for Hurts? What does that entail? What does different responsibilities mean? Jalen's got more responsibilities this year in the offense, which means he didn't have any last year. Okay. What does that mean? Because I'm confused. Is the offense new or not? Or is there just different responsibilities in the old offense or in the new offense? What are we talking about here? Different responsibilities, people are saying. That's what Howard Eskin is saying also. So let's take a look at some of those. What are the responsibilities? Reading defenses. Well, he's limited at that. So he's got to work on that. I think we're going to be able to figure out right here why he's been struggling in 9-on-7. Reading defenses. He hasn't been very good at that since he came into the league. He wasn't very good at that in college. And it's gotten a little better. It has. The offenses haven't been very creative. RPO is not a creative offense. It's a decision-making offense, which he's exceptional at. What they're trying to do is make him into being more of a thinker. And I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm just saying that's not something that he's done in his entire professional and collegiate career. He's been more of a reactor. That's why the RPO fit his system and his style of play better. Because he's an exceptional reaction guy. Tom Brady couldn't run that offense. Peyton Manning could never run that RPO. Joe Burrow could never run that RPO. There's very few guys in that league that can make the decisions that he made. He's a decision maker. But when it comes to reading defenses, no way. He's limited. At best. So there's more responsibility on reading defenses. That's going to take time. Setting pass protection now that Kelsey's gone. Who's going to set the pass protection? Landon Dickerson? Tyler Steen? Can't get the tackles. They're too far out wide. Is that going to fall on Jalen? So Jalen now has this to pick up. He's going to have to do pre-snap reads, reading defenses, and he's going to have to set protection, something that he's never done in 3 years with the new offense or new responsibilities. I'm betting on Jalen Hurts. Okay. I'm naming things that he's poor at. And you know it. The blitz pickup. He's terrible at blitz. So he's got to read blitz pickup, set the offensive blocking scheme, and he's got to read defenses. All things he's not very good at. All things he hasn't been asked to do in the last 3 years. Last year, he was one of the worst in the league in blitz pickup, and you had a Hall of Fame center. Where would that get better now? You had a Hall of Fame center last year, and you were one of the worst teams in the league. So Cam Jurgens is going to be a better impact on blitz pickup? Or is it going to be more of Saquon Barkley being used in that role? I don't know. I don't know. Because if we got more responsibility for him, what does this all entail? Get this. This is before he throws the ball. You understand this. This has nothing to do with getting the ball to somebody. And the pre-snap reads. He's got to know where to go with the ball. I was poor at walking. I learned. I'll say this to you. Well, I'm not paying a baby $51 million. So this is before you throw the ball. You got to start reading defenses, which he's probably a C. You got to set the blocking scheme, which he's never done. It's incomplete. I don't know if he can do it. Blitz pickup. He was terrible. And pre-snap read. Okay? All of those things have resulted in, like John McMullen said 2 days ago, everybody else played well, but he was having issues. And somebody are going like this. Well, it was only June 17th. You think that gets better in 36 days? Are you crazy? This is professional football, not the junior football league when you're in junior high school. Assuming Barkley becomes a force in the running game, 20 touches a game, wouldn't that help Hurts in the passing game? Well, the last 2 years, you've had 1,200 yards rushing between Sanders and DeAndre Swift. You had two backs go for 1,200 yards as an average. It wasn't like your run game stunk. You just got away from it. You got away from Hurts running. Dude, Saquon Barkley's running attack is not going to impact Hurts' play in the passing game. Jalen's passing was a result in 22 because of the RPO and the way he was a dual threat guy. He's no longer that dual threat guy. Will Barkley create more space for Hurts to have limited carries with more impact than yards? That is totally true, and that could be what they're hoping for. Yes. Yes. Barkley loosens everybody up, okay? And they're concerned about him. All of a sudden, when you go into a pass play, nobody's guarding him anymore. And he takes off the field. He has 8 carries a game instead of 15 carries a game, but he still gets you 60 yards. That's impact. And that's impact from Kellen Moore. Absolutely. Absolutely. Zader said something the other day about more quality yards. There's no question 22. We're all low in numbers compared to 23, but they were more quality yards because they were more effective yards in critical situations. The situational success they had in 22, how many times did you find yourself in 3rd and long in 23? At least 70% of the time. In 22, they were never in 3rd and long. Very rarely were they in 3rd and long. He has been heated on his whole football career. I'm not sure what that means. I think you mean hated. Hated? No. Well, let's just say this, Fat Mac. Nick Saban hated on him. You forget that. The greatest college coach in the history of college football hated on him. He took his starting assignment away from him, and he was a Southeastern Conference Player of the Year. So if you're sitting here giving me shit for saying stuff about Jalen Hurts, Nick Saban hated on his ass. Now all of a sudden they want to throw their arms around him and pretend he's a Bama guy. He's kind of a Bama guy. He finished his career at OU. Was a runner-up in the Heisman, running the RPO. The Eagles with Vic will be better. You do not know that. That is a guess. Got to see it. It seems better. Sills, you know these sissies can't handle the truth. Dude, I'm not really ripping anybody here. I'm talking about a lot of work to do before September 6th. Okay? Sills, either Hurts makes $50 million and should flex his franchise status to fix things, or Hurts makes $50 million and needs to be a company guy and dance. Okay? I completely agree. I completely agree. But that's what Angelo said yesterday. Maybe he did stand up. Maybe he did say, hey, man, you want me to be more transparent? Okay. I don't know what the guy's role is. And I think Jalen Hurts was being honest about it. But to Xander's point, how does that help the team? Isn't it a fine line? I don't know what's right or wrong here a little bit. I don't like to straddle fences here. Is Jalen wrong for speaking his mind? Or is he wrong for not being a company guy when his team needs it? And to Xander's point, it's July 17th, Sills. Maybe he doesn't do this in season. Maybe he does it now to rally the troops going in to training camp. I think that's knowing how to be a leader again. It goes back to what I was saying. I don't think he knows how to be a leader. Because I happen to agree. On June 17th, I think you talk some bullshit. September 6th or 7th after the game, I don't think you talk any bullshit. I think you have come to Jesus conversations. Hey, we didn't play very well, and we didn't coach very well. That organization refuses to talk like that. I think they refuse any kind of negativity. From the coach to the players, they never get on anyone's ass. When's the last time a coach in Philly got on a player's ass in a press conference? Shit, I've heard Andy Reid say shit about Travis Kelce. I've heard him say shit about Mahomes. I heard Bruce Arians rip Tom Brady. And Brady responded by winning a Super Bowl. I mean, it hurts, bro. He sucks. The Eagles are... That's not... I'm talking about addressing an issue. You're talking about crying and quitting. Nobody's talking, Prince, about crying and quitting. You're talking about addressing an issue. Can't you differentiate between the two or no? The Commanders are a mess, and so are the Giants. Of course, Dick Train compares the Eagles to the two shittiest franchises in the NFC East. Just keep motivating. Just keep motivating him. I'm betting on Hurts. Okay. Keep motivating him? I don't need to motivate anybody making $50 million. My direct deposits motivate me. And the amount motivates me. You think some fucking coach speech when I'm in the pros motivates me? Give me a break. Or some dickhead on the radio or some guy doing a show like this motivates me? What are you, out of your mind? People are so simple-minded thinking sometimes that you think because a guy says something. When my paycheck is $50 million, I don't need somebody kissing my ass and rubbing my nuts. I don't need that. My direct deposit speaks to that. You crazy? Hey, man, media, keep motivating him. Motivating him? He's weaker than I thought. And I'm not saying that that's true. That's your take. And Mr. Perez says there's no issue. When asked the question, you don't know what your coach does on the team anymore. Your head coach. I don't know what he does. That's not an issue. Or quitting in the Buck game. That's not an issue. Blitz pickup is not an issue too. Here's something to think about. I mean, we're going to get into this other question here. All those things that I mentioned are things he has to work on. What's the one positive? Hey, what are the positives? Let's do this. What are the positive things that Hurts does as a quarterback? It's not lead. He's a front runner. Things go south. I haven't seen him pull the team out of the trouble in a trouble. He's a front runner. Biggest front runner I've seen in the league. He is a front runner. If that's the case, then why does Jalen need to be a leader? Those guys get paid. They don't need a leader. Because that position is about motivating men in your locker room, not the fucking media. Jalen Hurts is a front runner until he shows me when his team needs him the most, he can pull his team out of a 1-7 tailspin. Everything was great when they were winning, but when things went south, he had no answers. Coach had no answers. The organization had no answers. Zero. Zero. I'll give you a great example here of something. Josh Allen pulled his team out. They were losing a bunch of games with Ken Dorsey. Didn't they go on like a 9-2 run to go into the playoffs? And remember something. It's the AFC. It's not Baker Mayfield killing you in a ball game. Here, let's do this here. I want to show you something else here. I wrote this down just to show you how the hypocrisy of your $50 million guy. So here are the top 5 guys, salary-wise, in the NFL now. Lawrence is number 1, tied with Burrow at $55 million. Goff is $53. Herbert's 3rd at $52.5. Lamar's $52. Hurts is $51. There's only one guy on this list with a postseason record above 500. It's Jared Goff. And here are the best quarterbacks in the league, according to PFF, because you probably think I'm biased. So I went with BFF. Mahomes 1, Lamar Jackson 2, Burrow 3, Allen 4, Herbert 5. That's not my list. That's who PFF thinks are the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. The best quarterback in the league is not the highest paid guy. Gee, I wonder how that works. Oh, wait. I saw that in New England for 20 years. Look at Dick Train. Golf's trash. Well, he's been to 2 NFC title games. Has your boy? This guy throws for 4,500 yards. He's got a postseason record that's above 500. He's taken 2 different franchises to conference title games. I mean, he's winning in Detroit. He's winning in Detroit. Harold goes, golf's better than Jalen? Yeah. He's done more. He's been in the league longer, but he's done more. Boy, I love how people look at people's resumes and just ignore them. It's like ignoring Purdy's resume. He's done more than Hurts too, in a shorter time frame. He's thrown for $4 grand, 30 touchdowns, been to 2 conference title games, been to a Super Bowl, went to a 5th quarter in the Super Bowl. You're making it sound like some of these guys don't have better resumes than your boy. They do. He's got a long way to go. My point with this guy is he's still in the early stages of learning so much. Blitz pickup, pre-snap reads. I mean, the Eagles, in my opinion, have had one coach around him in 4 years that was worth the shit. The rest of these guys have been, I don't know. Hurts is not even sure he likes the Kellen Moore offense. That may very well be Philly D, because at the end of the year, San Francisco is going to have to pony up $60 million if they think Purdy's the guy. Or if Kyle Shanahan thinks he could find another dude. Remember something. Kyle Shanahan is pretty much 50 for 50 right now. He's 50-50 on quarterbacks. And I would give the lesser when it came to evaluating him because he fucked up those 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance and got lucky with Brock Purdy. And I'm not sitting there telling you Purdy is going to carry a football team across the finish line. Man, you sound like a fool, but I love you. Okay, I don't care what you think, man. I have resume and work. That proves my point. That's not an opinion. Okay? That's incorrect. The Bills changed the OC for Josh Allen. And the Eagles changed the OC for Jalen Hurts. Oh, wait. For Nick Sirianni. Well, Jalen got the OC fired too, guy. He's part of it. Oh, wait. Not him, though, right? That's so pathetic. That's so pathetic and asinine that you don't blame the quarterback for getting the OC fired. The quarterback played a factor in it too. Are you in here telling me, some of you, that you don't think Jalen Hurts is the cause of Brian Johnson losing his job? No matter who you are, if you suck and you're the player, you're responsible for your coordinator or your coach losing his job too. Josh Allen, also. By the way, Josh Allen is now, or Ken Dorsey's now the OC in Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski. And Deshaun Watson. And Jim Schwartz is on the other side of that as the D coordinator. Sills, to Angelo's point, minicamp is for teams' new teammates, coaches, and schemes. What new teammates? Bob, what new teammates on offense are you talking about? What new teammates? What are you talking about? John McMullen said everybody looked pretty good except Hurts. What are you talking about? That means Jalen is also the reason Steichen got a head coaching job. Yeah, because the proper system played to Jalen's skill set. That's what I've been saying since Steichen left. Yes, thank you very much for validating my point. Yes. That's why Shane Steichen got the job at Indianapolis because of Jalen Hurts' play in 22. Correct. And he did such a great job that Anthony Richardson got drafted. Yes. Anthony Richardson's not known for being some superior passer. Yes. Yes. Completely agree. Shane got the job. Yes. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Jalen Hurts did such a fucking great job. In 2022, Anthony Richardson with 51% completion percentage at Florida. Xander and I were talking. He wasn't exceptional at Florida. He was a great athlete at Florida. And when you watched him in that Shane Steichen offense, you were like, hey, there's something there. To me, Anthony Richardson looked like the second best quarterback in that draft last year or the year after. Stroud and him. Wasn't Bryce Young second. It was Anthony Richardson before he got hurt. That's another thing. Last two quarterbacks that Shane Steichen has coached that have been his starters have all been injured. He's got to do a better job of protecting his quarterbacks. He knows that too. That's why the Eagles went to the 23 style. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? Sills, that Super Bowl in 17 is the only one we will see until that front office steps out of the coaching and lets the coaching and pick their own players. You don't really have to pick their own players because coaches, these pro coaches, do it this way. They don't sit around and watch a ton of college games. Your personnel scouting department comes to your position coaches and they go, here's a list of 50 guys that we think. You got to trust your evaluators in your building. And defensively, that's not been something that you can. You know what's crazy too? It's like all of a sudden you guys are all enamored by these new draft choices that they have. What about the draft choices that they've had build up to this draft that you just had in April? Have they been exceptional? Name me one exceptional player that they've drafted on defense in the last 6 drafts. Let's see. Jalen Carter. Okay, who else? Name me one. One defensive guy in the last 6 drafts. Who? You're making it sound like they've done a great job over there. The Georgia guys have been average to mediocre at best. I mean, Sue, look again. We're talking about issues that can be resolved. My God. Again, I love how people have the quitter mentality. Dude, if somebody told, I don't think you guys have ever been coached in here. You think coaches tell you what you're doing right? Or do they spend more time with you telling you what you're doing wrong? I would say the majority of you in here could never be coached in your entire life because you don't know what coaching is. Coaching is not talking to you about the things you do well. They talk and work on the things that you suck at. Putting your left hand down, playing right guard or left tackle, putting you in uncomfortable situations, dropping you more times in coverage, seeing if you can cover, working on your cover skills. If I was Vic Fangio, you know what I'd be doing with Bryce Huff? I'd be dropping him in coverage the entire OTAs. I'd be working on his tackling because he stinks at both. And you keep working that because you don't have a lot of time in today's NFL. Okay? Seals, you mentioned that Josh Allen helped the Bills to 6-1, which is half true. The Bills made changes at OC, I know that. Josh, unlike the Eagles, hence the downfall. I'm not sure what that means. I know they went on a great run and they went 6-1 when they changed the OC, and Josh Allen took complete responsibility for getting Ken Dorsey fired. I never heard anything out of that mouth of your quarterback. I never heard any of that. He couldn't back Brian Johnson and he couldn't back his head coach just a couple weeks ago. Give me a break, dude. Guy's a front runner. You can disagree with me. I don't care. Until I see him pull a team out when you've had adversity. What's he done with adversity? You had adversity on tenfold last year. Paying a guy $50 million, like Xander says, for a reason. Front runner. I'm sorry. I'm not there. And then you don't have enough leadership skills at the head coach. You know what? I got to say something about Nick here. Is Nick trying to make it work? You know, I went back and read John McMullen's article. I don't know, man. There's a part of me that made me think, well, I think I'm going to step away from this here. You know? And if I'm the problem, let's see if Kellen can fix it. That's how you keep your job. That's how you keep your job. Well, maybe it is me. Maybe the quarterback and I are, hey, let's get someone else in here. Play call. Happens all the time. Nick Sirianni has a track record of this. Did he not give the play calling over to Shane Steichen? John McMullen's article kind of a little bit rubbed me in that direction. Well, he's got a track record of it. He handed the play calling off to Shane. Saved his job. Maybe that's what he's doing here. I mean, do you give him the benefit? 3 playoff appearances? You know, Super Bowl? NFC title game? I mean, you didn't want to give Doug the benefit. He's been given the benefit. Maybe you let it play out here. I'm just saying. You know, it's one thing for me to slash and rip, but there's another thing for me to go, you know, has Nick Sirianni ever shown the propensity? Hold on. No, it's called having a conversation, Jay. It's not contradicting, dickhead. It's maybe there is another side to Nick. You see, the difference with me is I'm not going to be hell-bent like certain people that will say to you that Nick Sirianni is the greatest coach in the history of the Eagles and that they would want Nick Sirianni over Andy Reid or Doug Peterson. That's not me. I'm not going to be in a position to say that. I will never be that way. If coaches hey, every single person flip-flopped on Carson Wentz, who, by the way, is fitting in very well in Kansas City. Shit, Kansas City may have the best backup quarterback in the league. Okay? Just might. Just might. Credible. He just might. Again, do I believe that? No, but there could be something to John McMullen's article. All right. Let's go to the second topic here. By the way, we're going to take a look at the Baltimore Ravens, the Week 14 opponent. We'll take a look at that as well. But here's another question for you. Do me a favor. Give me what you would think would be your evaluation of Jalen Hurts in the last 3 years starting. Just simply like a letter grade, like ABC. ABC. I don't think there's a D or F here. So where would you put that into the context of how you look at these last 3 years? Because that's how you look at consistency. A B? So if you take the 22 year away, the other 2 years have been B and A. Is that right? First year was an A. Give Peterson, right, 2017, and Reed 2020s all day. So again, okay, so what would you call the 2021 season? First year starter? I actually think it was not that bad. I'll give it a high C+. He wasn't really the engine on that team. He was more the caboose. 22 was an A, no question about it. 23 was more of a C+, B-. So we're probably in that B range. Right? Somewhere in there? A B? Okay. Is that good enough to win a Super Bowl? Can you win a Super Bowl with a B quarterback? I think so, with the right personnel around him. With the right personnel, I think so. Okay? I think you can. Now, let's ask this question. Do the Eagles front office have questions about Jalen Hurts right now heading into the 24th season? Do they, in your opinion? Do they have questions? What would be the biggest question they have? This is going to be interesting here. What would be the biggest question you have going into 24 with Hurts? If you were the front office. Leadership. Absolutely. Adjusting. Absolutely. I like that one, actually, adjusting. Health? Really? I don't think so, health. I think for a guy that takes a lot of hits back there, I think he's been pretty healthy. I wouldn't say health would be something on my priority list. I wouldn't use the word health. So leadership and adjusting in the pocket. Okay? Anything else that you would have? Not being able to spread the ball around? That's a fact. So what? Reading defenses. Command. I think that's leadership. Quick decision. I don't think he have quick. Well, Richard, his quick decision was his RPO, and he was excellent at it. Beating the blitz. I like that. And again, I'm asking you what you think the front office is thinking right now about him. Hey, by the way, these are all question marks. And here's a question mark in Cincinnati. Can that guy stay healthy? Here's Buffalo. Can that guy be smarter? Here's Baltimore. Are we going to use him right? Here's Herbert. Will better coaching matter? Hey, Brandon Staley versus Jim Harbaugh? There's no more excuses for Justin Herbert now. You got one of the best play calling head coach signal callers in the league. If you're not going to playoffs and winning them now, son, it's not just about putting up better Kirk Cousins numbers. You got to start winning now. Every single organization. You just gave a guy $50 million in Jacksonville. You don't think there's a ton of questions down there with that guy? Can he be consistent? Is he coming along and reading defenses? This is not isolated to Philly. You think this is a whole conversation about this goes on in every fucking market. Here's Dak Prescott. Here's Dak. Can Dak win in big moments? That's the worst one. Can Dak win in big moments? Can he win in big moments? I don't know if you can fix that. Because that's choking. That's Rory McIlroy stuff. Missing 3-foot putts on the 72nd hole of the U.S. Open. You can't fix that. That's who you are. Missing a 3-foot putt in one of the biggest majors on the planet. You can't miss that. Here's the shit with Purdy. I'll say it with Purdy. Can he win without the talent around him? I'll tell you this. I think Jalen can win more with lesser talent than Purdy can. Purdy does a better job getting the ball in the hands of people. Less turnovers. I think that comes with the passing and the way he's being coached. So, Here's what you got going on here with Jalen. Leadership issues. This is what you're saying this is what you think the front office is thinking about Jalen Hurts. Leadership issues. Adjusting in the pocket. Reading defenses. And beating blitzes. I'll tell you flat out how I'm going to go after the Eagles. I'm going to blitz Jalen Hurts as much as I can. I'm going to bring the house. Every single new center, new coordinator, quarterback who struggles with it, it won't be a day I don't blitz. I am going to bring the house every single time I can until he shows he's fixed that. And if he's struggling reading defenses, adjusting, leadership, setting, remember, he's got to set the protection. He's got to know what protection to set. Isn't it crazy? You got all this talent. And the only thing he really added was Barkley. But Barkley gets negated. You know why Barkley's addition doesn't matter? Because of the minus of Kelce. So you got the same talent you did a year ago. Nothing's changed. Except the responsibilities for the quarterback. Can leadership be addressed? I don't know. Brady seemed to work on it. But to me, leadership is being a better teammate. I think Jalen Hurts, one of his biggest problems he's not a great teammate. And I'm not talking about being a buddy-buddy to somebody, going up and drinking Slurpees with someone. I'm talking about in-game stuff, practicing stuff. You rarely hear him talking about his teammates, too. Kelce did. I don't know, just maybe that's me. Jalen is introspective. I don't want that in my quarterback. I want him to be an extrovert. And I'm not talking about a screamer. I'm talking about somebody who's going to say something productive, not destructive. And I'm not saying Jalen doesn't do either. I'm not saying any of that. It's funny there we go. It's funny what's going on in San Francisco right now with Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk thinks he's more important than he thinks he is right now. Okay? He thinks he's more important. He thinks he's actually a major part, okay, of that offense. He's not. They're going to live without him. And he knows it. They're totally going to live without him. He doesn't get it. Okay? We own the Eagles 21-15-1. They told him they don't want him. Eagle fan. This guy Ayuk thinks that because he had a good season last year on a team that's exceptionally talented, that he's the major point of that football offense. Dude, he's not. He's a good football player. He's a good player, but he's not really a major focal point of that football team. He's not their best receiver. You can win without Brandon Ayuk. You can't win without Trent Williams, George Kittle, McCaffrey, and Purdy. Okay? Appreciate the likes. That's really great. Let's please get the likes up here. But again, to go back to Jalen here, So the front office has these issues going into 24. I don't think this is uncommon in other places. I just don't. Hey, can he get better as a leader? Yeah. Can he get better adjusting? Yeah. Can he get better at reading defenses? Yeah. Daniel says we have to remember as well, Jalen has never had to deal with adversity like they had to deal with last year. He's always been a winner, and that was new to him. Let's hope experiencing that helps him. Daniel, absolutely spectacular take. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, I'll give you a great point to that. Daniel, I'll give you a great point to that. So I get to the Buccaneers. I may have told some of you this. Dude, in my high school, I probably lost 5 games in 4 years. Okay? In college, I lost 5 times. I lost 10 times in 8 years. 10 times in 8 years. I get to the Bucs. We lost 12 games in my first year. I'd never seen anything like that. I couldn't believe how quick it was to surrender for many people. And you get gobbled up in that bullshit. As contagious as losing is, or winning is, contagious also happens to be on the side of losing. It's not a cool thing. And it happens, and it rolls. You look up before you know it, you got 10 losses. You're like, what? I'd never seen anything. I never experienced anything like that. I had never experienced anything like that. I had come from a college that in the regular season, we were 34-1. We were 34-1 in the regular season of my 3 years at UM. I left as a junior. 34-1. Get to the Bucs, I lose 10 games. What? I guess bashing Jalen is a daily topic for the next month. How is bashing talking about what the organization is looking at with him right now and questions they may have about your quarterback? Or exactly what does the new offense mean with new responsibilities is fucking bashing? You know what that comes down to? These new millennial guys, anytime you say anything that is constructive to anybody, they moan and they cry and they bitch. That's what you guys do. You fucking moan because you don't take to coaching. Tough shit. You're going to get coached here whether you like it or not. Because that's what coaching is about. Is telling you the shit you don't want to hear. That's what you are. Is people who don't want to be coached. Dude, you actually believe coaches are sitting around, like, do you think Jeff Stoutland is coaching Tyler Steen? Great. He's kicking his ass to get him ready. Wow. I had some of the greatest coaches in the history of college and pro football coach me. Who have you had? I had the guy who drafted Lawrence Taylor draft me and coach me. Who'd you have? I had a college and Pro Football Hall of Fame coach me for 3 years. Who coached you? My D-line and coordinator were not only the best and won Super Bowls, but were head coaches in the NFL and college football. Lamar Leachman coached me. You know who he coached? LT. Tom Landry coached me. Here's my point. Don't tell me what coaching, good coaching, or bad coaching is. What's a cookie? What the fuck are you talking about, dog? What a win. You don't get backslaps for being coached by great people. It's a lucky thing to be coached by great people. Holy cow. You got to be kidding me. To be coached by Nick Saban? I would never want to be coached by Lincoln Riley. That's right, Forte. It's a blessing to be coached by Jim Johnson or somebody like Jim Schwartz. Guys like that ilk. Guys like Andy Reid. I know that Angelo doesn't like him. I'm sorry. 5 NFC title appearances in Philly and another 5 now in Kansas City. I get it. Mahomes is there, but he had McNabb, and I don't really think a lot of McNabb. Okay? But you were still an NFL bust. You're right. Average years in the NFL are 3. I got credited with 3. You're right. So I was average. Thank you. No problem. I got a pension. I got a pension. Never liked McNabb. McNabb didn't take to coaching well. And he wasn't a very good teammate. So here, let's circle back to this. He's got work to do. Most importantly, I think being a great teammate. That's what I think. Sills wants control of the Eagles. If I wanted to coach, dude, I would have done it a long time ago. Offered numerous jobs. Numerous jobs. Why do you think some of these coaches come on here? Shit, the guy who came on here, Kevin Colbert, who was the general manager of the Steelers, offered me a job. Tom Telesco offered me a job. He's now the Raider GM. Al Davis offered me. Al Davis hired me, actually. Chiefs have guys getting arrested every week. Great player selection going on over there for sure. Yeah, totally great. You see that Matt Araiza is now going to be the punter? What a great pickup by the Chiefs. Unbelievably awesome. And they're not afraid. What did they call that kid? The punting god? Or punting Jesus? He's now the starting punter. There's only one punter in camp. And Andy Reid's going with the guy who was falsely accused of rape. When everyone else was hammering the kid. Now he's the punter on the defending world champion back-to-back Kansas City Chiefs. You bet, baby. Okay, you bet. Now he's on the world champions. Punting Jesus. Awesome. Brett Veach and him taking a chance. You take a chance like that on a guy like that. You know why? Because they know, quite frankly, there is no chance. All they're doing is taking the public relations and people and the woke people who go, well, something had to have happened, even though he's innocent. See, the court of law doesn't matter. It's more about the court of public opinion that matters to most of you. Okay? What happened to their other punter? They cut him. They cut him. And now they got a guy who can change field position for them. So they got one of the top defenses in the AFC, and now they got a punter who could actually average 46 yards a punt. Holy cow, the Chiefs got better. We did the same thing with Carter. Yeah. But this was a guy who lost his profession and was accused of raping a girl in college in gang rape and lost his career. Jalen Carter was actually added. He was signed by the Bills. They cut him when that story came out, even though it wasn't true. And that's a fact. If Big Sills can't talk football because he's not in the Hall of Fame, you people will never even made varsity, shouldn't be talking football. Hey, underdog, I don't come from a place of Hall of Fame. I come from a place of failure and not living up to my expectations. That's where I come from. My issues were not anything to do with ability. My issues were everything to do with my mouth, my attitude. That's why. And I got sick. It just wasn't meant to be. So maybe that's why I'm harder on guys, is because you can't blow these opportunities. And when you see little tiny things that can make you great if you just work on them, that's where I come from. Maybe, I don't know, hard love or what have you. That's how I was coached. It's how I was always. Again, it wasn't, nobody screamed at me at Miami. What they did was they harped on the bullshit things that I did. The most production I ever had in my life was with Coach Johnson. Why? Because he knew me and he was a psychiatrist. He understood that. That's what he studied at Arkansas. He knew the personalities of his players. This guy was like a psychiatrist. And he knew how to get the most out of them. Because he knew player behavior, people behavior. That's what made him great. You think he was some sort of X's and O's brilliant guy? No. He knew people. He knew the right people. He knew the right people to hire players, whether you were a first rounder or whether you were a fifth rounder. It didn't matter. Or coaching. Dude, you ever wonder his head coaches never turned out to be shit? He hired people that fit his system. Same with Belichick. Any of those coaches ever go on to be anybody? No. They fit what he needed. Same thing. Saban's the only guy I've ever seen that's a savant coach like that. His coaches go on. Look at Sarkisian, man. Sarkisian was a great coach. Look at Lane Kiffin. It was like a rehabilitation center down in Birmingham. You go down to Tuscaloosa, it's like a rehab center. Lane Kiffin, what did he do with the Raiders in Tennessee? Nothing. Honestly, what did he do? He stunk. He wasn't a good coach. What did he do at Southern Cal? He gets them down there, builds them up. Now he's making $9 million a year at Ole Miss. His team ranked 4th in the country right now going into the 24 season. Kirby Smart, part of that lineage. Shit, the coach at Maryland was on that coaching staff. What's his name? Mario Cristobal was the O-line coach after Stoutland at Alabama. Do you know that? Mario Cristobal went and became the O-line coach. I think that's how that worked. Because Jeff Stoutland was the interim head coach at the University of Miami. And I think he went to Alabama, and I think Mario was at FIU at the time. And then Chip hired him to be the head or the O-line coach in Philly. I think that's how the progression worked. Stoughton was at the University of Miami. He was the offensive line coach there at UM when Bryant McKinney and all them guys were coming out of college. And he was putting all those great O-lines together. And he helped build that O-line for the 2000 team and the 2021 team that is considered the greatest college football team of all time. Jeff Stoutland built that O-line up and recruited many of those kids. Did a great job too. They named him, the only head coaching job that Jeff Stoutland has ever had has been as an interim coach at the University of Miami. Lane Kiffin had, I liked Matt Corral actually. I did. I would love to play against, no, sure you would. Let's see here. So again, it's not ripping. It's not ripping. The show started out. I want to circle this back. The show started out with leadership and Aaron Rodgers not showing up to minicamp because he wanted to smoke dope in Europe. Got to be all in when you're the starting quarterback in today's NFL. And that means you got to be the best teammate you can be, whether you want to be or not. Look at the guy. Mahomes looks like a spectacular teammate. He just looks like a great teammate. Brady was a great teammate. Burrow looks like a pretty good teammate. I think it's got to be hard for Brock Purdy to be a great teammate. You know why? Because you still got to overcome what people are looking at you going, 7th round draft choice? When's he going to turn into a pumpkin? You know what I mean? When's he going to turn into that pumpkin? Brady stopped showing up his last few years. When was that? Every year he was in Tampa, they won the division title. And they won the NFC championship and a Super Bowl in 3 years down there. Or you must have been under some sort of misunderstanding that the Bucs, who hadn't gone to the playoffs in 9 years prior to him showing up, were doing great things down there. They were coming off the Jameis Winston 50 for 50 touchdown passes or whatever it was, and 50 INTs. 40 for 40, whatever it was. They won 3 division titles. NFC title and the Super Bowl. What do you mean he didn't show up? What are you talking about? Seals, can you ask Manny Diaz about Abdul Carter, Eagle rusher from Penn State? I will. Manny's over at Duke now. I think he'll do a decent job there. They did a really nice job. By the way, I asked him some questions about Michael Parsons. They never rushed him. They never used him in the pass rush the way that the Cowboys are using him. They never used him like that. They didn't know that he was a pass rusher like that. They had no idea. They had no idea, okay, that he was that good as a pass rusher. Like I said to you before, Dan Quinn got pushed into that by mistake because of the injuries they had at the perimeter. Look how easy it is for them to get their but I would say this to you. You got 36 days until the start of training camp here. Okay? And you've got to figure all this out. I think it matters. If everyone's ripping Rodgers for not being at minicamp and missing it for going to smoking weed, look at the little tiny things that it takes for you to look at, even when Hurts says something that he didn't even, I don't believe he meant it. And to Angelo's point yesterday, Angelo goes like this. He's like, you're kicking a kid's ass in Philly for saying what's on his mind. And hey, I think a lot of people are like Xander. They don't subscribe to that. Sil said he's not an Eagle fan multiple times. No way a real fan agreeing with all this pessimistic takes. He's not even being pessimistic because he's not even hoping for the best. Lord, what are you, a fucking mind reader? What do you think I think about when it comes to hoping for people? I'm not going to quantify myself to some dude with some picture in a chat box. You're out of your mind. I'm going to quantify that. Yeah, that's what I do all day long, is pray for people to fail in life. Now, that'd be somebody that's more up your alley. Don't do that shit. I couldn't be more wrong about a guy like Lamar Jackson. Great. Congratulations. Super. I was wrong. This is where, see, there's guys in here that are here that can't wait for me to be wrong. Me, I'm happy when I'm wrong. That means the player succeeded. Great. Good for him. It's more important for me that the player have a career than wreck dreams. I don't know how you don't root for somebody. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you Nakobe Dean's a good ball player when he's not. And he hasn't played. And you make excuses for him. And the organization puts him in right. Get this. Nakobe Dean gets written into starting lineups, not earned into starting lineups. Hurts is like the national debt ready to implode again. I don't think Jalen's going to implode, dude. I think you have. There's just a lot of people, man, who have not been coached very well or don't know what coaching is.